अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। हरि ओम्। तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः। Readings from and reflections on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Page 126. Sunday, October 22, 1882. It was the day of Vijaya, the last day of the celebration of the worship of Durga, when the clay image is immersed in the water of a lake or river. About 9 o'clock in the morning, M was seated on the floor of the master's room at Dakshineswar, near Sri Ramakrishna, who was reclining on the small couch. Rakhal was then living with the master. Narendra and Bhavanath visited him frequently. Baburam had seen him only once or twice. Master: did you have any holiday during the Durga Puja? M: yes, sir. I went to Keshav's house every day for the first 3 days of the worship. Master: is that so? M: I heard there a very interesting interpretation of the Durga Puja. Master: please tell me all about it. M: Keshav Sen held daily morning prayers in his house, lasting till 11 or 11, 10 or 11. During these prayers, he gave the inner meaning of the Durga Puja. He said that if anyone could realize the Divine Mother, that is to say, could install Mother Durga in the shrine of his heart, then Lakshmi, Saraswati, Kartika and Ganesha would come there of themselves. Lakshmi means wealth, Saraswati knowledge, Kartika strength and Ganesha success. By realizing the Divine Mother within one's heart, one gets all these without any effort whatever. Sri Ramakrishna listened to the description, questioning M now and then about the prayers conducted by Keshav. At last he said to M, don't go hither and thither. Come here alone. Those who belong to the inner circle of my devotees will come only here. Boys like Narendra, Bhavanath and Rakhal are my very intimate disciples. They are not to be thought lightly of. Feed them one day. What do you think of Narendra? M: I think very highly of him, sir. Master: haven't you observed his many virtues? He is not only well versed in music, vocal and instrumental, but he is also very learned. Besides, he has controlled his passions and declares he will lead a celibate life. He has been devoted to God since his very boyhood. How are you getting along with your meditation nowadays? What aspect of God appeals to your mind, with form or without form? M: sir, now I can't fix my mind on God with form. On the other hand, I can't concentrate steadily on God without form. Master: now you see that the mind cannot be fixed all of a sudden on the formless aspect of God. It is wise to think of God with form during the primary stages. M: do you mean to suggest that one should meditate on clay images? Master: why clay? These images are the embodiments of consciousness. M: even so, one must think of hands, feet and the other parts of the body. But again, I realize that the mind cannot be concentrated unless one meditates in the beginning on God with form. You have told me so. Well, God can easily assume different forms. May one meditate on the form of one's mother? Master: yes, the mother should be adored. She is indeed an embodiment of Brahman. M sat in silence. After a few minutes, he asked the master, "What does one feel while thinking of God without form? Isn't it possible to describe it?" After some reflection, the master said, "Do you know what it is like?" He remained silent a moment and then said a few words to him about one's experiences at the time of the vision of God with and without form. Master, you see, one must practice spiritual discipline to understand this correctly. Suppose there are treasures in a room. If you want to see them and lay hold of them, you must take the trouble to get the key and unlock the door. After that, you must take the treasures out. But suppose the room is locked, and standing outside the door, you say to yourself, "Here I have opened the door. Now I have broken the lock of the chest. Now I have taken out the treasure." Such brooding near the door will not enable you to achieve anything. You must practice discipline. The Jnanis think of God without form. They don't accept the divine incarnation. Praising Sri Krishna, Arjuna once said, "Thou art Brahman absolute." Sri Krishna replied, "Follow me and you will know whether or not I am Brahman absolute." So saying, Sri Krishna led Arjuna to a certain place and asked him what he saw there. "I see a huge tree," said Arjuna, "and on it I notice fruits hanging like clusters of blackberries." Then Krishna said to Arjuna, "Come nearer and you will find that these are not clusters of blackberries, but clusters of innumerable Krishnas like me hanging from the tree." In other words, divine incarnations without number appear and disappear on the tree of the absolute Brahman. Kabir Das was strongly inclined to the formless God. At the mention of Krishna's name, he would say, "Why should I worship him?" The gopis would clap their hands while he performed a monkey dance with a smile. But I accept God with form when I am in the company of people who believe in that idea. And I also agree with those who believe in the formless God. M. Smiling. You are as infinite as he of whom we have been talking truly. No one can fathom your depth. Master smiling. I see you have found it out. Let me tell you one thing. One should follow various paths. One should practice each creed for a time. In a game of Satrancha, a piece can't reach the center square until it completes the circle. But once in the square, it can't be overtaken by any other piece. M. That is true, sir. Master, there are two classes of yogis, the Bahudakas and the Kutichakas. The Bahudakas roam about visiting various holy places and have not yet found peace of mind. But the Kutichakas, having visited all the sacred places, have quieted their minds. Feeling serene and peaceful, they settle down in one place and no longer move about. In that one place, they are happy. They don't feel the need of going to any sacred place. If one of them ever visits a place of pilgrimage, it is only for the purpose of new inspiration. I had to practice each religion for a time: Hinduism, Islam, Christianity. Furthermore, I followed the paths of the Shaktas, Vaishnavas and Vedantis. I realized that there is only one God toward whom all are traveling, but the paths are different. While visiting the holy places, I would sometimes suffer great agony. Once I went with Mathur to Raja Babu's drawing room in Benares. I found that they talked there only of worldly matters, money, real estate and the like. At this, I burst into tears. I said to the Divine Mother, weeping, "O Mother, where hast thou brought me? I was much better off at Dakshineshwar. In Allahabad, I noticed the same things that I saw elsewhere. The same ponds, the same grass, the same trees, the same tamarind leaves. But one undoubtedly finds inspiration in a holy place. I accompanied Mathur Babu to Vrindavan. Hriday and the ladies of Mathur's family were in our party. No sooner did I see the Kali Daman Ghat than a divine emotion surged up within me. I was completely overwhelmed. Hriday used to bathe me there as if I were a small child. In the dusk, I would walk on the bank of the Jamuna when the cattle returned along the sandy banks from their pastures. At the very sight of those cows, the thought of Krishna would flash in my mind. I would run along like a madman, crying, "Oh, where is Krishna? Where is my Krishna?" I went to Shyamakunda and Radhakunda in a palanquin. Note says, places near Mathura associated with the episode of Krishna and Radha. And got out to visit the holy Mount Govardhan. At the very sight of the mount, I was overpowered with a divine emotion and ran to the top. I lost all consciousness of the world around me. The residents of the place helped me to come down. On my way to the sacred pools of Shyamakunda and Radhakunda, when I saw the meadows, the trees, the shrubs, the birds and the deer, I was overcome with ecstasy. My clothes became wet with tears. I said, "O Krishna, everything here is as it was in the olden days. You alone are absent." Seated inside the palanquin, I lost all power of speech. Hriday followed the palanquin. He had warned the bearers to be careful about me. Ganga Mai became very fond of me in Vrindavan. She was an old woman who lived all alone in a hut near the Nidhuvan. Referring to my spiritual condition and ecstasy, she said, "He is the very embodiment of Radha." She addressed me as Dulali. When with her, I used to forget my food and drink, my bath, and all thought of going home. On some days, Hriday used to bring food from home and feed me. Ganga Mai also would serve me with food prepared by her own hands. Ganga Mai used to experience trances. At such times, a great crowd would come to see her. One day, in a state of ecstasy, she climbed on Hriday's shoulders. I didn't want to leave her and return to Calcutta. Everything was arranged for me to stay with her. I was to eat double-boiled rice and we were to have our beds on either side of the cottage. All the arrangements had been made when Hriday said, "You have such a weak stomach. Who will look after you?" "Why?" I said. "Ganga Mai, I shall look after him. I will nurse him," she says. As Hriday dragged me by one hand and she by the other, I remembered my mother, who was then living alone here in the Nahabad of the temple garden. I found it impossible to stay away from her and said to Ganga Mai, "No, I must go." I loved the atmosphere of Vrindavan. About 11 o'clock, the master took his meal, the offerings from the temple of Kali. After taking his noonday rest, he resumed his conversation with the devotees. Every now and then, he uttered the holy word, Om, or repeated the sacred names of the deities. After sunset, the evening worship was performed in the temples. Since it was the day of Vijaya, the devotees first saluted the Divine Mother and then took the dust of the Master's feet. Note says, a form of reverent salutation in which one touches the feet of a superior with one's forehead. So welcome to the 15th week of readings from and reflections on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Today is a very beautiful passage. Two important points come out in the discussion of Sri Ramakrishna with the devotees. One is about the interpretation of Durga Puja, and second is the significance of doing a pilgrimage. And first we shall see the Durga Puja interpretation. Keshav he was a leader of Brahma Samaj, and originally when Raja Ram Mohan Rai started the Brahma Samaj, the tenets of the Brahma Samaj were such that no one should worship, if you are a member, no one should worship God with form. So they had shrines, but Om was written, but no type of any murti was kept, because that is wrong. So when these boys, Naren, Rakhal, when these boys also started going to Brahma Samaj, before meeting Sri Ramakrishna, at that time they became members of the Brahma Samaj. So they had to sign a form. In that form, you have to say, if I am a member of the Brahma Samaj, I shall abstain from worshipping any murti. So when Naren used to come to Dakshineswar, he would just stand before Mother Kali. He would not bow down, because he has already signed there in the Brahma Samaj form. So Rakhal also was like that. But then Rakhal came under the influence of Sri Ramakrishna before Naren came. So within those, even the 6 months period, Rakhal has already been converted to God with form because of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna very uniquely believed in God with form, and he believed in God without form, because he has realized both. So he is telling, and you find strangely, after coming into contact with Sri Ramakrishna, slowly and slowly, Keshav Babu also started believing in the efficacy of Mother worship. So he also started worshipping Mother. And in his house, he started Durga Puja. That was very strange in those days. In Calcutta, that was the talk of the town. How Keshav Hassan has changed his ideas. How he became a mother worshipper. So all these things they used to speak in those days. In the papers also they used to come. But then everybody would say, because Keshav used to go to Sri Ramakrishna and he got converted to the mother worship. That is what the idea they were telling. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna used to teach him so many things. Once Keshav's son came, he didn't even know how to do pranam to the seniors. You know, in Bengal the tradition is, when you meet a senior, you go nearby and touch the feet of the people, of the senior, and then touch your head. So that is the way of making pranam. But if you go to south, you don't find that. South you do the pranam from a distance. Why we should touch the feet? So in eastern side of India, there is a belief from the Puranas that when Lord Narayana wanted to bring Ganga out from his whole body, which is Pavitra Sharir, from that the Mother Ganga came. That's why Ganga is always pure. However dirty you can make, but the purity of Ganga cannot be denied. So Mother Ganga came out from his feet, especially from the two big toes. From that it came. That's why the Kripa also comes through the toes. So the tradition is, you go and touch a holy man, his toes. So by touching the toes, you have the belief that his grace comes, like a Ganga came out of Vishnu. So in the same way this is done. But if there is whatever the practice is there, that we continue. So when I went to South Africa, the people used to do pranam from the distance only. So I maintained that. Even though some devotees went to Belur Math and they saw the Bengali devotees doing pranam like that, they were stunned. Hey, we never touch, and how these people are touching the feet. So when they came back, they wanted to do that thing. I said, no. Here the system is not like that. So let us keep up the system here. So you find that everywhere, of course, different parts of India, different ways of doing pranam is there. If you go to North India, like Kanpur, Ranchi. I was in Ranchi for many years. I have seen people come, they don't, even if they are in a hurry, not doing a pranam, they just bend and then extend their hands to the knees. That's all. That's all. They don't even touch it. They just bring it to your knees, pranam is done, over. So like that. And of course the universally acceptable all over India is a very beautiful pranam, that is namaste. So we put our two palms together and say namaste. Say namaste. Yes, very good. Good. So that is very easy and universal form. So now this you find this intricate meaning of Durga Puja, Keshav has understood from the master. So what did he understand? What did he teach? M is asked. So M says that I went to Keshav's in Durga Puja, and Keshav says why we should worship Durga, because Durga has got 4 attendants. One is Lakshmi, another is Saraswati, another is Kartik and Ganesha. So all these 4 attendants are kept together. If you find in Calcutta, if you go to Durga Puja, of course modern Durga Puja is much changed from the ancient traditional one. In Belur Math, even till today, we are following the tradition. What is the tradition? In one structure, Mother Durga will be there and the 4 attendants also will be there. That is in one structure. When you lift it, you lift all the 5 along with the mother, not separately. But then in modern days, they make all the 4 and Mother Durga separate, and each one is kept separately at a distance also. So huge pandals are the made. So if you go to Bengal during Durga Puja time, it is a feast for your eyes. And different types of Mother Durga comes. I heard that even cinema actors' faces are kept for Mother Durga to such an extent.
That is an exaggeration.
No, I am not exaggerating. No, I am not exaggerating. You see Google, you will get it.
Yes.
Yes. And when I was in Belur Math, they told me that. Of course, I didn't go and see that. They told me that.
But it is,
Yes, and to that extent, the modernity has come, I am telling you. But traditionally, all the 4 attendants, they are all called attendants only. But then, in relationship-wise,
not children,
they are our children, Mother Durga's children.
So why are they called attendants?
Attend means they attend to Mother Durga. Whatever is needed for Mother Durga, they do it. So now the explanation is so unique, you see. If you call Mother Durga, the attendants also will come with her. Her children also will come with her. And who are the children? These 4. So, and Keshav San has told them, Lakshmi represents wealth, Saraswati represents knowledge, and Kartik represents strength, and Ganesha represents success. So all the 4, you don't need to worship separately for attaining any of these. Rather, you call Durga, all the 4 come to you. That's a beautiful explanation that M says that this is what I learned. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, yes, that's very good. And he says that he suddenly goes into personal question to him, and all the others are sitting there. But that type of personal question you don't put in nowadays, modern days. But then Master doesn't mind all those things. He simply says, now, how do you meditate? How your meditation is going on? Like that he said. But Yam also was very courageous, I should say. Before everyone, people afraid to say something that they are lacking something. But Yam is not like that. He is also very courageous. And he says, I prefer God without form for my meditation. But sometimes I see, yes, I can fix my mind, focus my mind on God with form. In that, I am not getting success. And neither my mind is stable when I am thinking of God without form. So both of the things not available. But the first visit time, M told Sri Ramakrishna that I believe in God without form, he has told. So he has declared God without form is my idea. But then today he is telling, I am slowly trying to focus my mind on God with form also. But then his mind is not stable. Then for that he is asking, now you see the mind cannot be fixed all of a sudden on the formless aspect of God. You think of that, think God without any form. How difficult for the mind to think. That's why in Yoga, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he says you can think of God without form, but then even though you can take the help of, say, a scenery of a sea or a mountain or the Akasha, like that you can imagine, but still that will be imagination only.
Exactly. So,
It's not exactly you are realizing it. So that's why he says it's so difficult. Then he says, if you have a clay image that is with form, and then you focus on the form, then slowly mind can be risen to such an extent where mind can reach a state where you can imagine God without form also. So that is possible. So that's why the clay images are there. So Yam is asking, do you mean to suggest that one should meditate on clay images? You see, God with form is done by clay. So because we use the clay for making images, so Yam asks, Master immediately reacts. Instantly, Master does not allow him to think 1 second further. Immediately he reacts. Why clay? These images are the embodiments of consciousness. You know, the clay, that itself is the embodiment of Chaitanya. And when it is Chaitanya, how can you say it's a mere clay? Characharam. Just now the Guru Stava you say, Characharam, Stavaram Jangamascha. The moving and the unmoving, both and Characharam. Whatever is there prevalent in this universe is all pervaded by Chaitanya. And that Chaitanya Guru shows you. That's why Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai means that. Who is that? Who shows you? So who is showing you all these things? So he says that why clay? It is also consciousness. I heard from the senior Swamis in Velumat that when they make the Durga Pratima from the clay, they bring so many types of clay from different places of pilgrimage and attach to them.
yeah.
And in that what surprised me was, none of the clay, none of the Prithvi's any portion is considered as impure. Even to that extent, where from a prostitute's house also a clay is brought and mixed with that. That means everything in this universe is pervaded by Chaitanya. How can you say this is pure, this is impure? Everything is pure only. So in that way the consciousness. So Sri Ramakrishna immediately reacts. Why clay? These images are the embodiments of consciousness. Then he goes into, then he says, can I meditate on my own mother? And Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful answer. Yes, the mother should be adored. She is indeed an embodiment of Brahman. Brahman only has come in the form of my mother. So once one, if you are not interested in any image of imaginary image like Durga, Kali or whatever it is, and the real living image is before you, and that is your mother. So if you don't have your mother, you have your mother photo also. Even that photo you can keep and close. Even now today, after leaving my house, say for nearly 50 years, if I close my eyes and imagine my mother, I can get her form. Is it not? We all have that power to imagine our mother very clearly than any other images in the world. So, mother is a form of Brahman, and she can be also adored and meditated upon. That's what he says. And then they were all sitting in silence, quiet. And then Master is talking about what is the kind of realization that happens in a man when he realizes God with form and when he realizes God without form. Now when Sri Ramakrishna explains his experience, and what he explained that is not written here, but some experiences Sri Ramakrishna has told there, and Yam has heard it. Now, looking at Yam and others, Sri Ramakrishna understood, none of them understood what he said. Because they themselves have not realized. So if a person has not realized, so a person who has realized what he says, it is not possible to understand. So they have not understood. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, why we are unable to understand the experiences of great rishis, of the great avatara purushas, Why we are unable to understand? It is because one important, very core point is we lack the required spiritual practice. So he gives a beautiful example. There is a treasure in a room, it is locked, and you go there and stand before that and you brood over in your mind, here is the room, there is a treasure. I have now broke open the lock, I have gone inside, I have taken the treasure in my hand. Like that you simply brood over, will you get the treasure? You have not even opened the door. So he says, unless you open the door and the lock and then get the treasure, it is not possible. So that means the efforts you walk up to the room and break open the door and handle the treasure in your hands, that time or the process, all this process is called sadhana. So he says, spiritual practice, sadhana is a must. That's why in Sri Ramakrishna tradition, here we insist upon the devotees, if you have got a diksha, the Guru has told you that sadhana paddhati, it is called. Sadhana paddhati. He will tell you what to start with and how to end with, and in the middle what you have to do. Even nowadays, or even for a long time, we giving books also. Small booklet we give for the diksharthi. So the book itself is a guide for you. And the guide it is written, how do you start, how do you end, etc. So that paddhati is given to you, but we are not practicing. If you don't practice, how are you going to understand the higher realization of the great religious leaders? That is what happens. Here, he found that none understood, and that's why he is telling this example, you must practice discipline. And then he talks about two classes of yogis. One is bahudakas and kutichakas. Udakam means what? Water. In Sanskrit, water is called udaka. Udakam, we call it. So udaka. So bahu udaka. That means many waters. This refers to somebody who goes from place to place to place to place. Or kuti chaka means one who resides in a kutik. Kuti means a small hut, a small cottage. It's called kuti. So this is Ramakrishna Kutir. Like that we write the name also. In Almora it's called Ramakrishna Kutir. So kuti chaka. That means one who stays in a kuti, a room or a cottage. So this man who stays in a room only, he doesn't go different places and drinks different kinds of waters. But Bahudaka goes to different places. So from that point, two types of yogis are there. Some people are absolutely remaining within themselves. In Ranchi, we had a very senior Swami. His name was Durga Maharaj. We used to call him Durga Maharaj. So I used to tell him, Maharaj, the Puri Jagannath Yatra happens. In Ranchi also there is a Jagannath temple. So Jagannath Yatra is going to happen. Why don't you come with us? We will take you in our car. Nice car is there. We will take you and show you. He said, for me, Jagannath is he. He would show to Sri Ramakrishna. He would not come out from the ashram. He would walk nearly half kilometer to the office, and he will sit in the office and he will do the hospital work and then come back every day. And he doesn't have even Saturday, Sunday. Office is closed on Sundays. He will take the keys and go there. Not a single step outside the campus he has gone. And when we used to tell him, we were all young at that time, we used to tell him, and he would say, for me, he is everything. We talk about, he would say, tell something about Vrindavan. You had gone to Vrindavan, tell me. So I would explain something descriptively. When I explained to him, he felt very overwhelmed. And then he would say, this place is my Vrindavan. Like that he would say. So they are called Kuti Chakas. But then Bahudakas are there. They are also yogis, mind you, they are not criticized. But Bahudakas are, they go from place to place, pilgrimage to pilgrimage, which after coming to Ireland, I am also doing every Wednesday. Swami Purnananda takes me to holy places. We go to holy places. Recently I went to a holy place where Saint Finbar's church I went. There is a small cottage, it's a small kutia it is. And in that church, Saint Finbar used to stay there. And outside it is written, he used to converse with God. Just imagine. A place where a great saint, sits there and converses with God face to face, and that's what a holy place it is. So when you visit such places and come back, Sri Ramakrishna's insistence is you visit holy places, you go on pilgrimage, no problem in that. There is no criticism. But then after coming back, he says, be like a cow. What the cow does, cow goes and grazes here and there. And then it comes and sits in one place quietly. And then it brings out whatever it has eaten. And then it starts chewing the cud. That's what we say, chewing the cud. It starts doing that. So like that, when you visit a pilgrimage place, come back and sit quietly in your room and then think about the place where you visited and what you saw. So again, reimagining your visit. Even this is one kind of sadhana. Our gurus teach us, say in meditation time, when your mind gets sometimes tired and you are unable to do the meditation. So you change the track. How do you change the track? Not go and see the ZTV. How do you change the track? They say that you think at the time you are walking in Belur Math. So first you are enter the gate, you are straight going to the temple and you are making pranam there, then come to Mother's temple and then Swamiji's temple and the Brahmaji's temple. Like that you go around. And then this 10 minutes you go around Belur Math. Since you have seen Belur Math, you have seen Jairam Bhatti, Kamarpaku, all those places of pilgrimage, you can redo it mentally. So mentally we can imagine and we can walk around those places. And that way the mind gets refreshed. Then you can resume your meditation again. So Sri Ramakrishna supports this going to pilgrimage places. But then what he is against is, even after going to a place of pilgrimage, if you start talking about worldly matters, what is the use? That's what he says. He was very pained, with Mathur Babu. He went all the way to Banaras. And one day, in Banaras he enjoyed. He saw actually Lord Shiva and Parvati. The Manikarnika Ghat, etc. He has got wonderful experience. Along with that, one day, Mathur Babu was seated and they were sitting with him. Some people have come to see Mathur Babu because he was a great man, you see. So they have come to meet him and they are talking about their business. Money matters and the business of going up and down, etc. That he got upset. He says then he says, oh Ma, you brought me to Banaras only to listen to these type of worldly talks. Then I could have stayed in Dakshineswar itself. Why I came all the way to Banaras? So that is what he says. That's why we say that when devotees visit ashrams, our centers, when they come there, try to focus our mind to godly thoughts, good thoughts. Here we shall not speak about politics. Here we shall not speak about worldly matters. So when you come there, so you think of godly thoughts, and then when you meet Swamis, talk with them about godly matters. You raise some questions, and then we discuss. Even while eating time, we can discuss. Many times we two are there alone in the breakfast time, and we discuss many spiritual matters also. Because we only two are there. We don't discuss about politics or these matters. So, in the ashram, when you come, that should be the focus in mind. So, Sri Ramakrishna says that it is so good to visit pilgrimage places, but then one's mind must be at the above level, not with the worldly matters. And he explains his experience in Vrindavan, Shyama Kunda, Radha Kunda. These are all places where if you go to Vrindavan, you must never miss, because Sri Ramakrishna had gone there, Holy Mother had gone there, even Swamiji had gone there. So these are the holy places. Many of our direct disciples had gone to Vrindavan, Kashi. These are all places of pilgrimage. So when you go there, see all those places and come back with the thought of Sri Krishna. How? He says he was taken to Mathura, and while coming he saw the cows were returning, and he started running towards the cows and says, where is my Krishna, where is my Krishna? He was overwhelmed. Anything Sri Ramakrishna would see like that, connected to the God, immediately he gets overwhelmed. That is the experience that we must gain in our life at least once. Some pilgrimage place you go, and it's so wonderful it is. Think of that and get overwhelmed. That some type of spiritual experience we must have in our life. We shall continue further next week. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Vigraham Vai Ishavasaram Parameshamityam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.